I'm still here on it.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. وبعد. In the last class, continuing with Surah Al-Hujurat, last class we completed the verse وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ قَتَتَلُوا فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا. And if two groups of believers fight each other, then make peace between them. فَإِن بَغَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا عَلَى الْأُخْرَى فَقَاتِلُوا الَّتِي تَبْغِي حَتَّى تَفِيءَ إِلَى أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. But if one of them transgresses against the other, then fight against the transgressing group until they are willing to submit to the rule of Allah. فَإِن فَاءَتْ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا بِالْعَدْلِ وَأَقْسِطُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. That was the last verse that we studied. The next verse, ayah number 10, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. The believers are but one brotherhood. The mu'minun, the believers are one brotherhood, one sisterhood. So make peace between your brothers and be mindful of Allah so you may be shown mercy. What is the munasabah? What is the connection between this verse and the previous verse? After Allah mentions, some said that after Allah mentions that islah, reconciliation and bringing peace between people needs to be done between parties and big groups, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that islah also needs to be done between individuals. Because the previous verse, وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ من المؤمنين اقتتلوا فأصلحوا بينهما. Here Allah is saying إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بينهما فأصلحوا بين أخويكم. Then make peace between your two brothers. So because somebody could think that Islah is only important if it involves parties and big groups, because there's more problems and more trials and tribulations that can arise from that. Somebody could think, as for individuals, it's not that big of a deal, it's not that important. Allah is saying, no, even two individuals make Islah. Some said that the munasabah, the connection between this verse and the previous verse, is that this ta'leel, that this is a ta'leel for the previous verse, meaning this is a cause or a reason for the previous verse. So Allah mentions that Islah, you make Islah between Muslims, and that's because they are brothers. That's because they are brothers. So we all go back to one source, one asl, and that is our faith. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخْوَيْكُمْ. In this verse, Allah is telling us that the believers, يَنْتَسِبُونَ, the believers trace back and they go back to one asl, one source, one foundation, which is, this foundation that we all unite on, is al-Iman al-Mujib al-Hayat al-Abadiyya. It's this faith that we have that necessitates everlasting life. Just like brothers and sisters, they go back to one nasab, one lineage, and they go back to one source, which is al-Ab al-Mujib al-Hayat al-Thaniya. A father that necessitates an ending and temporal life. What is it saying? That when two siblings go back to one individual, the individual that they go back to, that's all temporary. That's all a temporary life. But the believers go back, their father basically, for lack of better words, is Iman. That's their source. And Iman is everlasting and necessitates everlasting life. This verse also tells us that al-ukhuwa ad-diniyya mujiba lil-islah, that religious brotherhood, the religious brotherhood and sisterhood that we have, necessitates and demands making peace between one another. The mere fact that we are brothers, the mere fact that we are sisters, brothers and sisters, islah needs to occur. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. The believers are but one brotherhood, so make peace between your brothers. Allah mentions here two, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. Make peace between your two brothers, because that is the smallest number that a niza' or a dispute could occur between. And if it's obligatory, if it's wajib to do islah between two, then a larger number is min bab al-awla, is all the more. If you have to do islah between two, then between five, well, of course you have to do islah. Between 100, you have to do islah. As believers, we are brothers and sisters, and we must remind one another of that. Prophet ﷺ says in a very famous, beautiful hadith, Kunu ibadallahi ikhwana. Be fellow brothers and sisters, slaves of Allah. Kunu ibadallahi ikhwana. Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim. The Muslim is the brother of the other Muslim. La yadlimuhu, wa la yakhduluhu, wa la yahqiruhu. At-taqwa haula. A Muslim is a Muslim's brother. He does not wrong. He does not despise him. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, piety is found here. Taqwa is found here, pointing to his chest 3 times. And then he said, بِحَسِبِ امْرِئٍ مِنَ الشَّرِّ أَنْ يَحْقِرَ أَخَاهُ الْمُسْلِمِ. Despising his Muslim brother is enough evil for a man or any person to do. Every Muslim's blood, property, and honor are unlawful to be violated by another. So this connection that Muslims have between one another is a very, very strong connection. And even the angels, they know that. There's another famous hadith in Sahih Muslim where the Prophet ﷺ said, مَا مِنْ عَبْدٍ مُسْلِمٍ يَدْعُو لِأَخِيهِ بِظَهْرِ الْغَيْبِ إِلَّا قَالَ الْمَلَكِ وَلَكَ بِمِثْلِ. Whenever a Muslim supplicates, makes dua for his brother in his absence, the angels say, may the same be for you too. May the same be for you too. So the bond that Muslims have is a very, very strong bond, and even the angels are aware of that. If there's no ukhuwa, if there's no brotherhood in Islam, then ukhuwa, brotherhood of nasab, like lineage, a physical, biological brotherhood, doesn't matter. I'll say that again. If there's no ukhuwa, brotherhood in Islam, then ukhuwa of nasab virtually does not matter. One of the Imams from the 3rd century, his name was Abu Uthman al-Hayli, he said, ukhuwat al-deen athbatu min ukhuwat al-nasab. That the brotherhood of faith is stronger than the brotherhood of lineage. فَإِنَّ أُخُوَّةَ النَّسَبِ تُقْطَعْ بِمُخَالَفَةِ الدِّينِ. Because the ukhuwa, the brotherhood of lineage, is cut off once the deen is different. وَأُخُوَّةَ الدِّينِ لَا تُقْطَعْ بِمُخَالَفَةِ النَّسَبِ. But the brotherhood of deen is not cut off by having different lineage. Is that clear? If a Muslim, for example, dies and has a non-Muslim brother, and the wealth that this Muslim has, the scholars, they differ. Some of them, they say it goes back to Bayt al-Mal, the Muslim treasury that exists. Otherwise, it'll go to the general Muslim masses. When a Muslim dies, the non-Muslim is not going to inherit from the Muslim. the money that the Muslim leaves behind, it goes back to other Muslims. Right? Similarly, if a non-Muslim dies, the Muslim does not inherit from him. A will is different. A will is different. When we're talking about just the general fara'id and Islamic inheritance, our ikhtilaf al-deen, right? Different religion prevents somebody from inheriting from the other person. So that's just to show you how strong the connection between Muslims is. And all this is derived and extracted from the very first word in this verse, which is innama. Innama al-mu'minuna ikhwa. Innama means only or are but. It restricts something, right? It's as if Allah is saying there's no true brotherhood, there's no true sisterhood except between believers. And there's no true brotherhood between believers and non-believers, yet alone between non-believers. The only brotherhood that exists is between Muslims. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخَوَيْكُمْ. The believers are but one brotherhood, so make peace between your brothers. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, and have taqwa of Allah, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And be mindful of Allah so that you may be shown mercy. To emphasize this islah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions taqwa. Why is that? Because when two people are fighting and it doesn't affect the general public, you may not see the urgency and the need to solve that dispute. Allah says, have taqwa. Meaning, in Allah's best, make peace between them and let your leader, let your driver, the thing pushing you to do this islah, this reconciliation, be the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So adhere to the truth and justice. Don't wrong one of the two people. Don't side with one or the other, because at the end of the day, both of them are your brothers. Both of them are your brothers. لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ, so that you may be shown mercy. This tells us that taqwa is a cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. That's ayah number 10. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّن قَوْمٍ عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُونُوا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمْ وَلَا نِسَاءٌ مِّن نِسَاءٍ عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُونَ خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمْ. And then the verse continues. Actually, I'll read the whole verse. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَلَا تَنَابَزُوا بِالْأَلْقَابِ بِئْسَ الِاسْمُ الْفُسُوقُ بَعْدَ الْإِيمَانِ وَمَن لَّمْ يَتُبْ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. O believers, do not let some men ridicule others. They may be better than them. Nor let some women ridicule other women. They may be better than them. Do not defame one another, nor call each other by offensive names. How evil it is, or how evil is it to act rebelliously after having faith, and whoever does not repent, it is they who are the true wrongdoers. So this is a big verse, and there's a lot to unpack here. We will start by unpacking it today, inshallah. I want to at least finish 2 sentences from here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّن قَوْمٍ. The munasabah, the connection between this verse and the previous verse, and this is something I mentioned for those of you who are new here. My aim here is there's a whole science within tafsir of a munasabah between verses. The munasabah, the connection between, thematic relationship between verses and even surahs. Sometimes when we read the Quran, it seems random. One verse is talking about this, many Israel, then worship Allah, and then the sea, and then ruku' and sujood. What's going on, right? It seems very, very scattered. But there is a connection. You're scattered. Your mind is scattered. The Quran is not. So the connection between this verse and the previous verse, and Allah knows best, is that after mentioning in the previous verse what true brotherhood is and what true sisterhood is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala follows that up with one of its awkad shurutiha, one of its most important obligations, one of the most important conditions for brotherhood, and that is ta'zeem, honoring and respecting one another, glorifying one another, honoring one another. And if you're going to do ta'zeem of someone, you're not going to do the following. Does that make sense right now? If you're going to do ta'zeem of someone, you need ta'zeem for brotherhood, And in order to ta'lim, you're not going to do these things mentioned in this verse. And there's three things prohibited here, yeah. Ta'lim, honor, glorifying, not glorifying, honor, magnifying, if that makes sense. Ta'lim, from alim, right? Making alim, yeah. Respect. They say ihtiram for respect. It's all synonymous. It's all synonymous. Is that Urdu word, ta'lim?
Yeah, Urdu word ta'lim, ta'zim, ihtiram.
Interesting.
These two words.
Interesting. Okay. So in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits, it is nahi of three things. As-sukhriya, la yaskhar, sukhriya, al-lamz, and al-tanabuz bil-alqab. Today we're just going to talk about sukhriya. As-sukhriya is al-istihza bin-nas, mocking people, making fun of people. How does it translate? Ridiculing one another. This is sukhriya. The sabab in nuzul for this verse, the sabab in nuzul for this verse, and the background story behind this verse, there's two reports. One of them is that a delegation from Tamim were making fun of some of the poorer Sahaba, namely Ammar ibn Yasir, Bilal ibn Khabbab, Salman al-Farisi, and making fun of those people who were from Ahl al-Sufa, those people, the Sahaba that were living in the masjid. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse that believers should not mock one another. And the scholars, they also mention that this was at the earlier stage of the revelation, before they became firmly established, before Iman was firmly established in their hearts. Right? Because after faith was firmly established inside of them, they didn't ridicule each other anymore. Another interesting report is that it's said that this verse was revealed when some people were making fun of Safiya bint Huyay radiallahu ta'ala anha. Who was she? The wife of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The wife of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And she was a convert to Islam. What religion did she come from? She was Jewish. Right? From Judaism, she converted to Islam. And somebody made fun of her by saying, Ya Yahudiya bint Yahudi. Oh, Yahudi lady, daughter of Yahud. She was very upset by this. Very, very upset. And before I continue, there's still Muslims that talk about this. I remember online a couple of years ago, there was this Hindu convert, he was a Hindu guy who converted to Islam, he studied Deen, he became a Shaykh, you know. And I remember online, people were making fun of him. You Hindu, you just converted. Taqillah, you have a question?
So they made fun of her, called her Yehudi after she
converted. Yeah, after she converted, they're saying she's Yahudiya bint Yahudi. So she goes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I mentioned before, was an expert, the best at cheering people up and making people feel good. And we saw that with the story of Thabit at the beginning of the surah. He told her, هَلَّا قُلْتِ أَبِي هَارُونَ وَعَمِّي مُوسَى وَزَوْجِ مُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Why didn't you say, my father is Harun, Musa is my uncle, and my husband is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What a comeback, right? what an honor to be able to say that. So you can imagine how happy she must have been when she heard that. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, very quick-witted, very quick-witted sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and makes somebody feel good. Again, we mentioned this before. When someone comes to you in a very sad state, it's from the sunnah to cheer them up, right? Make them happy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la yaskhar qawmun min qawmin. Do not let some men ridicule one another. The word qawm, oftentimes is translated to people. But very technically, qawm in the Arabic language refers to men specifically. There's a long linguistical discussion here about the word qawm, and the majority of scholars say that it originally means men. Why? Because they are الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are typically the caretakers and the protectors and maintainers of women. So qawm and qawwam, they're related. And the scholars of tafsir, they mention a line of poetry to prove this. One of the poets, he said, وَمَا أَدْرِي وَسَوْفَ إِخَالُ أَدْرِي أَقَوْمٌ آلُ حِصْنٍ أَمْ نِسَاءٌ. One guy was making fun of the people of Hisn. Hisn was a person's name. And he said, I don't know. I really don't know. And I'll never know. The people of Hisn, are they men or women? He's making fun of the man's people. But the word he used was أَقَوْمٌ. Are they a qawm? Are they men? Or are they nisa? So Allah, it seems like the word men is meant here. And then right after, Allah says, وَلَا nisa. Women are mentioned after. Another interesting discussion here is why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using qawm, which is a plural word, meaning people or men, and why is he excluding one person from making one another? Meaning, why is it لا يسخر قوم من قوم, a group of men from a group of men, and not a person from a person? Is the question clear? Sorry, it's been a long day. Let me try that again. The verse says, لا يسخر قوم من قوم. Right? Let not a group of men ridicule, make fun of another group of men. Why is it not a person from a person? Why is it plural? Allah knows best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that even though it typically occurs between two people, majority of the time, when somebody is ridiculing another person, it will happen in front of a group of people. It will happen in public. And these people who are witnessing this, they are pleased and they're enjoying the mockery instead of doing something about it. And as a result, they are part of the mockery. They are part of the sukhriya. And they incur sin. By being part of it, by listening, especially when you have the ability to do something about it, by just watching and laughing and retweeting and sharing and LOLing, right? You are part of the sin, and you take the same hukm, the same ruling, as the one doing the mockery. That's why Allah says, قَوْمٌ مِّن قَوْمٍ عَسَىٰ أَن يَكُونُوا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُمْ. Do not let some men ridicule others. They may be better than them. So the word asa here, there's two ways of understanding this verse. I will share both. But whenever verses are understood two different ways, as a translator, you can only translate one. You're not going to translate both, put a massive footnote. Next thing you know, you have tafsir, right? So asa yakunu khayran minhum. One way of understanding this verse is, we're talking specifically about the prohibition here. Why shouldn't you do it? Why shouldn't you mock one another? The reason for the nahi here is because it's possible that the maskul, the one being ridiculed and made fun of, actually be better than the one ridiculing and making fun in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? I'll say that again. The one being made fun of could in fact be better than the one making the jokes. And that's because people only see the zahir. People only see the appearance, right? You should never make fun of anyone because they could be better than you in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why you should never look down on anyone for anything, whether it's financial, whether it's bodily, physical, or even worse, religious flaws. Iblis is the first one to have looked at the zahir. Right? The first one to look at the apparent, the zahir, alone, was Iblis. And that caused ujub, self-amazement, with himself, and kibr. And that resulted in him saying his famous statement, Ana khayrun minhu, I am better than him. And this kibr of his prevented him from obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ tells us, again we're talking about the zahir, right, and being beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hadith where the Prophet, this is in Sahih Muslim, where the Prophet said, رُبَّ أَشْعَثَ مَدْفُوعٍ بِالْأَبْوَابِ لَوْ أَقْسَمَ عَلَى اللَّهِ لَأَبَرَّهُ. Many people with disheveled hair, this messed up hair, they're not the cleanest person, covered in dust, turned away from the doors, meaning the people don't like him, right? Whereas he is held in such high respect and regard with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if he were to swear by Allah, right, adjure in the name of Allah, Allah would fulfill that. This meaning this person is rejected by the masses, is not popular, if you will, but beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's one of the ways we can understand asa an yakunu khayran minhum. That don't ridicule, because the person you're making fun of could be, in fact, better than you. More beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than you, and here you are making fun of somebody beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another interesting way this verse has been understood is asa an yubaddil Allahu al-hal. I could probably translate that as, "O believers, do not let some men ridicule others. They could become better than you." The language, this works in the language. They could become better than you, meaning Allah could fix their situation and put you in their situation that they were in. The Prophet ﷺ tells us in a hadith that's in Tirmidhi, "La tuzhir ash-shamata li akhika fayarhamuhu Allahu wa yabtalik." This is a very scary hadith. Very scary hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Do not rejoice over the mishaps, the problems, the flaws, the mistakes of your brother, so that Allah could have mercy on that person and subject you to that trial." Meaning Allah could put you in their position. Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he's reported to have said, and some scholars they say this is a statement of Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, and some yarfa'uhu, meaning some of them say that it was a statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. "Al-bala'u muwakkalun bil-mantiq, فلو أن رجلا عير رجلا برضاع كلبة لرضعها." Calamity and bala is the end result of what you uttered. Al-bala is the end result of what you say. If someone insults someone for breastfeeding a dog, and taking milk from a dog, female dog, he would surely, eventually, do the same. You make fun of somebody for drinking a dog's milk, you will certainly do the same. Ibn Mas'ud said. In another narration, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, "لو سخرت من كلب لخشيت أن أحول كلبا." He's reported to have said, if I made fun of a dog, I'm afraid that I would turn into one. As a dog. What about a human being? So the tongue, is very, very dangerous. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us all and protect us all. I know I've said a lot. May Allah protect us all. Even religious mistakes. When someone has a religious mistake, we should never look down on people and make fun of them for sins. And it's very possible that this person could make tawbah, right? And you can be tested with that same sin. There's a famous line of poetry of Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, "وَاجْعَلْ لِوَجْهِكَ مُخْلِتَيْنِ كِلْتَاهُمَا وَكِلَاهُمَا مِنْ خَشْيَةِ الرَّحْمَنِ بَاكِيَتَانِ لَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَكُنْتَ أَيْضًا مِثْلَهُمْ فَالْقَلْبُ بَيْنَ أَصَابِعِ الرَّحْمَنِ." He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, have or make for yourself two eyes that are constantly crying, like meaning crying, from the khashya of Ar-Rahman. Had your Lord willed, look, kunta aydun mithlahum, you would have been in their position. This person you're talking about this person you're making fun of, you could have been in their position. فَالْقَلْبُ بَيْنَ أَصَابِ الرَّحْمَنِ. As it comes in the hadith, that the hearts are between the fingers of Ar-Rahman, which is a metaphor for so easy to be changed. So easy that someone's heart could change. One day you're in the masjid, one day you're in the first row, the next thing you know, you're at a club, drinking alcohol. I've seen it. Wallahi, billahi, tallahi, I've seen it. I've seen it. There was a brother I remember, this was maybe 15 years ago in Toronto. This guy, so passionate about his deen. So passionate. I remember he used to wake up in the morning, there was something called Yahoo chat rooms. I don't know if you guys remember Yahoo chat rooms. He used to go online and teach people. He's an extremely arrogant guy. And I remember he used to like make fun of sheikhs, make fun of scholars, speaking bad about people, yelling at people in the masjid, you know. Fast forward 10 years later, I was working a job, and Qadr Allah, he was there, working with me. And he became a full-out alcoholic. Full-out alcoholic. I don't mean like a Friday night drinking alcohol, not that type. I'm talking waking up early in the morning to drink alcohol. Waking up early. This was not 10 years ago. This was, anyways, I don't remember what year this was. This must have been 2011, actually. And I remember I was working at this job and I had this boss, female manager I had. And she said to me, "Dear guy, let's just call this guy Khalid. Okay, it's my generic name." She said, "Oh, Khalid told me that you and him were friends." Well, yeah, I've known him for a long time. And he's like 23, 24, this guy. His boss is like 45-ish years old. She said, "Oh, did Khalid tell you that we're dating?" Congratulations. Like, what am I going to say? I was like, "No, he didn't tell me." And then they would have problems, they would fight, they would argue. She'd come to me to do islah. And then one day, wallahi, she came to me, she said, "Dearie, I'm pregnant." So wallahi, leading people to Fajr, the mission. Leading people to Fajr, I remember teaching people. But he was very, very arrogant. And perhaps not grateful. Didn't do shukr for the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah protect us all. One poet, he said, "لا تهن الفقير علك أن تركع يوما والدهر قد رفع." A poet said, never humiliate the poor. Perhaps you could be lowered one day, while time, doubt, raises him. The last thing I'm going to conclude with is something else very interesting that the scholars mentioned. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّن قَوْمٍ. O believers, do not let some men ridicule others. They may be better than them. Nor وَلَا نِسَاءٌ, nor let some women ridicule other women. They may be better than them. So after Allah mentions men ridiculing men, He mentions women ridiculing and making fun of women. Notice how the verse does not say قَوْمٍ مِّن نِسَاء, like don't let men ridicule women. And the verse does not say nor women ridicule men. What's the reason behind that? One of the scholars, he said, لِلْإِشْعَارِ بِأَنَّ مُجَالَسَةَ الرَّجُلِ الْمَرْأَةِ مُسْتَقْبَحٌ شَرْعًا. Men sitting and hanging out with women is something deemed ugly, frowned upon in the Sharia. Because a person can only make fun of somebody he mixes with and knows their flaws. How close did you get to Samantha before you started speaking bad about her? How much time were you spending with Zainab before you started making fun of her? Why were you even that close? Right? Obviously we live in the 21st century, we live in Canada, you have to, colleagues that are women. I'm not saying, only work in men environments, but it's a subtle reminder, it's a very latif reminder that men and women are not buddies, they're not hanging out all the time. And Allah knows best. So that's sukhriya. In the next verse, or the next lesson, we'll look at al-lams and al-tanabuz bil-alqab. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from any sukhriya we may have made. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for anybody we ever made fun of or looked down upon. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our batin, our inside, our internal better than our external, and make us from those who follow the way of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the wisdom to cheer Muslims up and make them feel better the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cheered up Sophia bint Huyay radiyallahu ta'ala anha. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.
I have a question. You make fun of your friends, right? I mean, this is like bullying you're talking about, ridiculing, right? Teasing your buddies. That's just fine.
Let me get back to you.
Okay. Okay.
Well, they say it's not. Well, they say it's not.
Why not?
Because they say there's two reasons. That, like, first, like, even if it's teasing, like, for some jokes are like about physical appearance, and those are like really bad because at that point, who are you insulting? Insulting Allah, right?
Yeah.
And the second is like that person might say they're okay, but in the back of their head they might not be okay about it, and they might go home and later, like, half the time, mental health happens in private, not in public.
Are you saying that they do?
Right?
You can guess.
They say you shouldn't. They say you
Well, you
shouldn't.
should. I thought you said you should. You can. Yeah, probably. That seems right. I'll just double check that. That seems right.
Yeah, that's when I did the tafsir for Hujjat, and that's when I messaged everyone I knew and I apologized. I'm like, sorry for the forehead joke, sorry for the fat joke, sorry for this joke. So bad.
Sorry, Ryan, you were saying?
No? Am I reciting? No.
Yeah.
Schedule.
You want me to recite?
The day was scheduled.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not involved.
Where's the problem?
Also, Monday there's a solar eclipse. Solar eclipse on Monday. There's a class. Solar eclipse on Monday. There's a class.
Yeah.
First one, solar eclipse is I mean, some people might be going night.
No, the same PSP, close to because it's a hazard for eyes, because it's mechanics.
It's a good move because because they would be responsible. So something happens.
Yes.
Yeah, so
That's why.
That is class.
just continue.
Oh, also, if you can message me, can you message me any slots of soup because I'm doing it at.
You're leading?
I don't want to do 30 minutes. I don't want to do it. I want to
So
do
when I
it for
said,
30 minutes.
so I told my dad, make it short, don't make it long. He said, come around, like, we're going to do like around 3 o'clock. So that's when the total is.
3 or 2? 3 or
No, 3:20 is when the peak's happening.
Yeah, that's when the total.
2:51 is peak. It's total
You're
time.
telling me I have to leave for 40 minutes. I don't want to leave for 40
Which
minutes.
I talked to Sheikh Zahir this morning, or earlier, to the 10
Yeah.
hours already. He said that they're probably going to do half an hour, and they're going to start it around like 2 o'clock.
What do you mean for half?
My dad's
Oh, you're Hafiz, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yo, you got so much to root from. So buck it up, man.
I don't even know how to turn up. They're like two salatul kusuf.
Where is it?
UFC.
One of my friends was telling me yesterday at Sukkot, he went to a mosque and there was total solar eclipse. The Imam did not understand English, he says and he went as long as Surah Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran. And people came in, and then they thought it was Dhuhr. So they joined. And then it started dropping it.
I prayed it once in my life at Masjid Toronto. Yeah, Masjid Toronto.
My question is it like, wait, is it jahar or like, is it like out loud or is it quiet? We should go to Niagara Falls. That way we get the whole, we won't miss it either. People are asking me, they're like, is it like watch it first, like comment? I'm like, you're a robot, brother.
And that's a question I had too initially. Because when I read this, whenever the eclipse is supposed to happen, it's the entire length you're supposed to pray for. So in this case, it's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I read this show and I would like to see it. Right? But that's the wisdom. So I'm looking for the word. It's the arrogance in our culture. Because when this happened back then, it was impossible. And here, oh my God, it's a show. You know what I mean? Even thunderstorms and stuff like that, when it happens, it's also understandable because this could be like that. But here we are like, oh yeah, that's motivation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm guilty of this now, but this is how I'm thinking of it. Yeah, that's what Sheikh Lahir said.
I have one person that's really like, take a while. Everybody here, after we get 2-3 plastics.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والطور وكتاب مسطور في رق منشور والبيت المعمور والسقف المرفوع والبحر المسجور إن عذاب ربك لواقع ما له من دافع يوم تمور السماء مورا وتسير الجبال سيرا فويل يومئذ للمكذبين الذين هم في خوض يلعبون يوم يدعون إلى نار جهنم دعا هذه النار التي كنتم بها تكذبون أفسحر هذا أم أنتم لا تبصرون اصلوها فاصبروا أو لا تصبروا سواء عليكم إنما تجزون ما كنتم تعملون إن المتقين في جنات ونعيم فاكهين بما آتاهم ربهم ووقاهم ربهم عذاب الجحيم كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما كنتم تعملون متكئين على سرر مصفوفة وزوجناهم بحور عين والذين آمنوا واتبعتهم ذريتهم بإيمان ألحقنا بهم ذريتهم وما ألتناهم من عملهم من شيء كل امرئ بما كسب رهين وأمددناهم بفاكهة ولحم مما يشتهون يتنازعون فيها كأسا لا لغو فيها ولا تأثيم ويطوف عليهم غلمان لهم كأنهم لؤلؤ مكنون وأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون قالوا إنا كنا قبل في أهلنا مشفقين فمن الله علينا ووقانا عذاب السموم إنا كنا من قبل ندعوه إنه هو البر الرحيم فذكر فما أنت بنعمة ربك بكاهن ولا مجنون أم يقولون شاعر نتربص به ريب المنون قل تربصوا فإني معكم من المتربصين أم تأمرهم أحلامهم بهذا أم هم قوم الطاغون أم يقولون تقوله بل لا يؤمنون فليأتوا بحديث مثله إن كانوا صادقين أم خلقوا من غير شيء أم هم الخالقون أم خلقوا السماوات والأرض بل لا يوقنون أم عندهم خزائن ربك أم هم المسيطرون أم لهم سلم يستمعون فيه فليأت مستمعهم بسلطان مبين أم لهم البنات ولكم البنون أم تسألهم أجرا فهم من مغرم مثقلون أم عندهم الغيب فهم يكتبون أم يريدون كيدا فالذين كفروا هم المكيدون أم لهم إله غير الله سبحان الله عما يشركون وإن يروا كسفا من السماء ساقطا يقولوا سحاب مركوم فذرهم حتى يلاقوا يومهم الذي فيه يصعقون يوم لا يغني عنهم كيدهم شيئا ولا هم ينصرون وإن للذين ظلموا عذابا دون ذلك ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون واصبر لحكم ربك فإنك بأعيننا وسبح بحمد ربك حين تقوم ومن الليل فسبحه وإدبار النجوم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. By the very mount of Sinai and by a mighty book magnificently inscribed in matchless leather pages open full wide, and by the celestial house throned with angelic hosts, and by the sky ceiling raised aloft high, and by the sea stoked seething beneath, very the chasteness of your Lord shall bindingly fall, none can repel it. On a day the sky shall awfully pitch and plunge, and the convulsed fountains set heating out, so woe that day to criers of lies, those who flounder on words of mocking play, and they shall be shoved along to the fire of the hell abyss, and shocked, bewildered, shoving. This is the fire to which you ever cried lies. He said, so what tidings do you bear, O messengers? They said, verily we have been sent to a people steeped in crimes, to loose on them masses of stone, of hardened clay, marked for punishment with your Lord for those who know no bounds. So we took out all who were in it of believers, and found not in it but one house of those who submitted to us. And we left therein a horrific sight for those who fear the painful chastisement, and Moses was a mighty sign. When we sent him with clear sobering proof to Pharaoh, but he turned haughtily away with his host and said, a wretched magician or a madman. So we took him and his legions and flung him into the deep sea, while he was to blame. And in Ad was there a mighty sign. When we loosed against them the blasting sterile wind, it left not a thing it came upon, but made it like time-shattered bits decayed, and Thamud a mighty sign. When they were told, enjoy yourself in faith until the end of your days, but they set at defiance their Lord's command. So the thunder blast seized them as they watched, and they could not so much as stand, or even help themselves. And we had destroyed the people of Noah before. Verily they were a godless race. And the sky we built with all powerful force, and we are indeed expanding it with the vaster. And the earth have we smoothed for comfort and response. So how splendid the outspreaders. And we have created everything in pairs of two, that happily you may remember the one. So flee you one and all to Allah. Really I am to you a manifest warner from Him, and make not with Allah any other God. Really I am to you a manifest warner from Him. By the night sky, which with great winding rings of star paths rippling out, verily you are all sunk in contradictory objections. He shall be perverted away from it, who is wholly perverted from the truth. Perish be the empty conjecturers, those benighted in the depths of ignorance, mindlessly unaware. They keep asking, whenever should the day of reckoning be? A day they shall be tried over the fire. Taste your own trial. This is what you were hastening on in a mocking prayer. Verily the God-fearing shall be in multitude of luxurying groves and springs, joyously accepting all their Lord's bestows. Verily ever before were they the finest in works, and little indeed of a nice slug they hard from their toil. And last, watches of the night, they ever asked for forgiveness, and they made in their wealth a right that was due to the asker of alms. And on earth are many tremendous signs for the holy certain. And in your very selves, so you will not have seen, but you not even see, and in the sky is a portent of your provision, and that which you have been both promised and born. So by the Lord of the heaven and the earth, verily it is utterly true, as certain as that all you can speak. As word reached you of the honored guests of Abraham, when they entered upon him and said, pure, secure peace. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.